All right. So, welcome to the first kind of playthrough narrating session of Not Your Mama's Gamer. Tonight, we're talking about Kadakawa Games and Pseudo 51's 2012 game Lollipop Chainsaw, which has definitely been the topic of much conversation amongst the three of us here at Not Your Mama's Gamer. For a number of reasons. If you remember early on when the game was first announced, I really hated this is me, Sam, hated the idea of Lollipop Chainsaw, but I really, really wanted to play a good zombie game. So I checked it out. Yeah, I did that. Mm-hmm. And I pulled others into the fray. So I'm joined tonight, as in every night, by Alex Lane and Nicole Marie. Hey, ladies.
Hello.
Hello.
So let's talk about this thing.
Yeah, there's a lot to say.
There is a lot. And I told you guys when I first started playing this game, I almost didn't make it past the intro. I started watching the intro and I almost just took it out of the console, put it back in the box, and did my first ever sell back.
You and every other reasonable human on the face of the planet.
Oh yeah, definitely.
However, like you, most of us will give a ridiculous benefit of the doubt to things like this because, hey, there might be a fun game at the end of it, right? I'm looking at the picture of the dad grabbing the mom's butt right now.
Yeah.
But yeah. Can't blame me for trying.
Yeah, the whole beginning part really set the tone for the game, though. Unfortunately,
yeah.
Yeah.
I was for some reason I said, well, maybe it'll get better. Yeah, that didn't happen.
Oh, I know. I continued to think that throughout the game as well. I just kept sitting there and I was like, that's definitely really bad, and I feel pretty offended. But maybe it'll redeem itself further along the line. And I continued to be disappointed.
So do you think that there's any chance that we have a situation here like Hey Ash, what you're playing talks about in Saints Row 3? A woman sort of owning up to her body and being like, I'll be over the top sexy and whatever I want to be and F you?
Only if she acted like she had half a brain. No shit. Seriously, I mean,
no, I agree.
I could see how that could happen if the character acted in any way like she had a brain.
Yeah,
but that has not been the case, unfortunately. And yeah. I really just don't know what to say. It was interesting, and it would have been a totally and completely different story if the gameplay was even decent, right? I mean, because Pseudo 51 also made Shadows of the Damned, right?
Which the gameplay, despite how disgusting the narrative was, the gameplay I thought was
decent.
It was fun.
Yeah, the gameplay was good. I mean, which pissed me off.
Penis gun was fun.
Right, which pissed me off because I mean, the gameplay was good, but it was so over the top with the machismo and the misogyny that it was like, what the hell am I playing? So you had to stop playing for a totally different reason. This game, the gameplay wasn't that great. I mean, the art style is kind of cutesy and it was a little bit fun, but the gameplay, there was just nothing there. After the first hour or two, it was like, really? Am I still playing this? But I was. And I think Nicole and I talked about this because we both kept playing the game for a while because we kept buying different outfits as they became available because we were just trying to clothe this chick because she was so freaking naked all the game.
Trying to give her some actual armor so that she wouldn't be so susceptible to the zombies.
Protected.
Yeah, because she was just naked. I was really tired of seeing cleavage and ass cheeks. So I kept buying new outfits for her to see what I could do to cover her up. I was like, can I get a jogging suit or something? Anything. Cover her up. Didn't work. Didn't
and
work.
If anything, it kept getting worse, because I noticed too with like some of the outfits. I mean, in one of them, she had like obnoxiously colored panties. So if anything, it drew my attention to her butt more than some of the other outfits, and it was just like, oh god, it just continues.
But back to what you were saying about the gameplay too. I remember we played through I don't know, the first few scenes or whatever, and I mean it gets so boring. You have a horde of zombies and you try and slash them. Okay. Oh my god, let me use the pom-pom power. Okay, so those are the two things that I can do to interact with the zombies in this game. That's just so far behind all these other cool zombie games.
Well, early on, yeah, until you can do some power-ups, but the power-ups are no better than baffle the zombies with your pom-pom skills and then slice their heads off with a chainsaw.
Right.
So they weren't even really worth it. There was nothing that necessitated any real skill, which I think was the biggest problem. Do you know what I mean? I like my games to be a little more difficult, and this just wasn't.
I like button mashers, like the Mortal Kombat. Like, I find that I'm quite successful at Mortal Kombat, even like the newer ones and the older ones, with people who memorize the moves. And, I can at least play with them, even if I don't memorize the moves. I'm just like button mashing. But there's a difference between button mashing and getting a variety of different things, because there's all of that depth programmed into the game, and button mashing just to swing and swing and swing and swing again and then swing some more. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, and aside from gameplay, aside from the nakedness, aside from the vapid protagonist, the narrative itself just wasn't there. There was no, okay, maybe The Walking Dead has us all looking for more than it was usually out there for zombie games. But I was looking for a real narrative. I mean, and you spend the first, 2 levels of the game just going through slashing zombies, and you don't even know what the hell's going on.
Well, not only that, but like it literally doesn't make sense. So, okay, so there's this girl who everyone thinks is stupid, but has this cool background in combat because her family's like secretly obsessed with combat. Like, that's sweet. That's fine. Not sweet, but it's fine. But she lives in a normal world and then goes to school and zombies are attacking, and she is irritated because she can't go to her boyfriend quickly enough, right? She doesn't like talk about or reflect on the fact that there's this fucking zombies everywhere, right? Like, she's not like, oh my god, what is happening? She's like, gross.
Not again. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Yeah, and the one-liners are horrible. Right. I mean, like even in this scene where we're watching now, it's like the when the bus crashes, she goes, "Oh my god, zombie driving sucks dick." Really? Yeah. You couldn't think anything better than that? That's the best you could come up with.
I think that's a really interesting aspect of it too, because it's not things that you would typically think of what they're stereotyping her to be, like the stereotypical female that they're portraying her to be almost, aside from her zombie killing like abilities. But it's not things that you would expect a girl like her to say. So I wasn't sure if that was something that they were trying to play into the whole, like, there's this whole under, like on the down low life that she has, or if it was literally just let's make her say really stupid things because we have the ability to do that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It certainly doesn't give her any depth. So.
Oh, no, not at all.
None whatsoever. And even once the quote-unquote narrative does start to develop, and I use that word very, very lightly, there's no depth to her. Right? She runs into her, her sensei or whatever the hell he is, and, he's constantly staring up her skirt, and, she's showing him her ass, and it's like, really? This is the moment for you to say, I'm studying for enlightenment, or I'm doing something, or make yourself a real character, and that just doesn't happen.
No, and he's just such a perv, too, so...
It's just such a shame, too, because, like, what a cool idea, like, teaching, have this girl who's not ashamed of her body, who's, like, just owns everybody and is like into this like combat and all of this stuff. Like, what a cool place that you could go with this, right?
It reminded me of the whole time a lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Exactly. That's a very good.
And what it could have been.
Yes.
And it just, I mean, and Buffy was, 10 years ago. And you can't do any better than this. I mean.
Well, she wasn't anti-feminine. She wasn't, like she could still, if they wanted to make sort of a sexualized character, they could have and made her a good character still,
Yeah.
I still have friends who are hardcore feminist who love Buffy because she was complex and she had all of these things going on. And you can do that in a video game. It's an interactive medium,
Yeah.
You don't need 12 years of a show to show a complex character. You can do that in a game if you choose to.
If you choose to.
Right.
They definitely did not choose to.
No, Buffy's a perfect example of how somewhere they could have gone with this, but were lazy or whatever,
Yeah, and I mean, and that's one of the things is that another thing that irritated me is that, she had she was charged at multiple spots, right, to protect kind of other students who were around.
Yes.
And if you didn't, of course, they became zombies, but they became these named zombies and they were harder to fight and so on and so forth. But, like this dude here, he's just standing there while zombies attack him. He's not running. He's not trying to get away. He's not fighting the zombies off. There's just nothing, right? It's like the AI is as stupid as she is. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it really just irritated me to no end. It's like, it's just, okay, well, clearly they want him to die, so he can become a zombie and there's something else for her to fight. Yeah, that's what it was.
I also think it's interesting, though, that most of the people that you save that I felt like throughout the entire playthrough were your, like, male, like, fellow students.
Yeah.
And they're so helpless, and it's just, there's so much opportunity for them to be like, look at what kind of like a powerful female she is. Mm-hmm. And like you were saying, Alex, like she really just kind of is proud of the fact that she's female. And she, if anything, she's an extremely like in your face, I'm a girl, look at me kind of person.
Like my power is sparkle power, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So eat it.
And yet at the end, I feel like even less that she was a powerful female and more so that she was just like this subjected object the entire time.
Well, any zombie man is trying to fight her. Look at the scene right here. And any non-zombie man, she can't be good enough to get him to not fight her either. Yeah. Like it's incredibly difficult to get these typical non-zombie men to stand up for themselves or be on her side or whatever. You end up having to fight them. So if you're going to be this sparkle power, whatever, you're going to have to fight all of these people.
Sparkle power.
You know what? Own the sparkle power. That's cool.
If you
want sparkle power to be your thing, do it. Just own it and don't be an idiot.
I mean, that's what she says right at the beginning, is that their mother taught them to, like, love having a vagina.
Respect the vagina. Respect the vagina. And
but the thing is, like, that's so cool, and you could do that, and it would be so awesome if you didn't totally undercut yourself with every substantive moment in the game, right? Like, the fact that this female character has her mom telling her to love her vagina, that's cool, right? That doesn't happen. But
no, definitely not.
Then you undercut it constantly with ridiculous shit.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's really interesting, too. I don't know if we were planning on bringing up that Kotaku article, but this is kind of, I feel like, a really perfect moment, just because, I mean, the way that the girl talks about how she plays this game and she, likes the fact that she feels empowered through this character when she knows she shouldn't, but the fact that her interaction with her mother was the exact opposite of Juliet's interaction with her mother, so that was actually something I hadn't considered before, but...
Yeah, and this is the, the Kotaku article from August 7th. Patricia Hernandez is for Women Like You, identifying with Lollipop Chainsaw's heroine Juliet. Yeah, and we've talked about Hernandez's stuff before, because she's the woman who wrote the "I Rape You" article about Gears of War and online gameplay, and I think that this piece is really interesting. I mean, for a number of reasons, right? Because she does, kind of counter, Juliet's relationship with her mother with her own relationship with her mother. And there's some interesting stuff going on there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. I just had to throw that in.
No,
definitely. I mean, I think it's so interesting how she has such a powerful mother who tells her, own your vagina, like, wear it proudly. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, Patricia Hernandez specifically talks about how her mother was almost the exact opposite of that. She was constantly telling her or belittling her for her appearance and for being the woman that she was. And it's such a striking contrast, and it makes it really, if anything, that experience alone probably allows her to give this game more depth. But I don't know, without that thought or without that article being out there, I would have never found that depth in this game at all.
Right. I mean, and for Hernandez, again, this article again revolves around her own kind of experiences and with anorexia and being raped, and this horrible relationship she has with her mother, who blames her seemingly for everything that has happened to her, and at the beginning of the article she talks about the fact that her mother says, "Women like you," and she asks, what do you mean like me? And she said, "Rape women who have been used up," which is a horrible thing to say to another human being, much less to your child. But she starts to think about what she thinks, when I say she, I mean Hernandez, thinks led up to her own assault, right? And it was for her the fact that her body changed so much as a teen because of anorexia. She became thin and more attractive, and that is exactly what she wanted, because she wanted to be more attractive. It seems to even the boy who raped her. And it's what disturbs me so much about it is it's a powerful piece when she talks about how she uses the game in this case to kind of think through what happened to her. But even what comes out in the end is that she still seems to kind of blame herself for what happens to her. I mean, and a lot of that seems to come from the mother from hell who, is saying basically it's your fault. Right? And you need to do something to make yourself, you need to make yourself more attractive to men now, right? You need to start taking better care of yourself, is what she says. You need to get all the help you can get. Men don't go for women like you, because she's been raped. She's been used up. I mean, so she's using this as therapy in some interesting ways, but I'm not quite sure how healthy that is. For a number of reasons, because like I said, in the end, she still seems to be blaming herself for what happens to her. And
yeah, the ending thought isn't a hopeful one.
Not at all. And Juliet, Juliet / Lollipop Chainsaw is definitely not the kind of model female figure to even work through issues with.
No, definitely not.
I don't know.
I think that's why that was such a thought-provoking article, too, though, is that just the fact that I in a way, I had never thought of this game as having the ability to be something like that for someone, but the way she wrote it, I think, really helped, because it was almost like like just a stream of consciousness, like just kind of her thoughts coming out on the paper. And I think it's really, really awesome. Once again, I mean, I know we keep going back and forth with Kotaku, I feel like, but the fact that they put an article like that up there, like, I know a lot of people probably think that was something that should have belonged on Jezebel or whatever, because I know that came up in her last article. But at the same time, it is awesome that they can put something up there, because this isn't just like a woman's issue that she's talking about. It's a woman's issue that she like went through and thought about while playing a video game.
Right.
And I think that's something that we have never discussed. Yeah.
It is.
Well, and that's a point to go to what you were saying, I think, Sam, about how, or Nicole, about how it doesn't end on a hopeful note. Yeah, it doesn't. And this stuff doesn't end on a hopeful note. And what I think is hopeful about it, I think, is that, like, we can work through some of this complexity in games when games maybe get a little better than Lollipop Chainsaw, right? Is that it actually provokes emotion and thought and all of these things. And so situations like Patricia Hernandez that's her name, right? Patricia Hernandez was going through, you can sort of have them stirred by a game, think about them, write about them, help other people because of it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, like, it's not going to be hopeful when you're in a situation like Patricia Hernandez is, but maybe in the long run it can be hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, and the reason it's a larger, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, but at the same time, what I want to say is I think that the reason that it's a larger gaming issue and not just a women's issue and not just a woman gamers issue is that this is something that game developers have to consider when they're making these games, right? Is how different gamers are going to respond to it, right? I mean, we talked about it a lot when we talked about Tomb Raider and trigger warnings, right? And other games where rape had been a part of them or rape-like scenarios have been a part of them, is that there are trigger warnings. There are people who are going to have unexpected reactions to these things.
And when someone has an outlet like Patricia Hernandez, then it can be helpful and thoughtful, but lots of people don't have those same types of outlets or same types of respect or even same types of, as messed up as the situation is, same type of self-confidence to even be able to speak out about it.
Right.
But I wrote a post that I haven't put up yet while I was on vacation about having trigger warnings in games and how people think that if you don't show everything horrible, that it doesn't happen. As if you're going to show a full rape scene in a video game. Like, oh no, they just suggested it.
Right.
Well, that's all they can do. So they need to do it with as much nuance as possible and as much suggestion as possible because they won't actually show penetration in a rape scene, right?
Right.
And people argue against this all the time. Be like, well, she wasn't actually raped. Well, they're not going to do that, right?
Right. And honestly, that's like, that doesn't even matter whether or not they actually show something like that. I think someone who has been through something like that is going to know what's going on right off the bat.
It's not the actual rape that's the trigger, right? Right. It's just the situation that is insinuated even that is the trigger for a lot of people.
But an insinuation is all they can do. We had a comment on our Facebook recently, which is what made me think about this, which maybe we were at the post, is they maybe don't show this stuff, so they do because they can't with regulations. Otherwise, they're going to be like another Custer's Revenge and be like mocked for years, right? So they can't show that. So they have to get by with as much suggestion as possible. So in games like Shadows of the Damned and in the new Tomb Raider, right? They try to get by. Hey, congratulations on unlocking that. They have to get by with making you think the worst things and making you have the biggest triggers and all of that thing with just a few scenes, right? So they're trying to be tricky and crafty and make you think of rape by just showing a hand up the leg, right? But you can't use that as an argument to defend them. Well, they didn't show all of that. Well, they're not, they won't. So,
right.
You have to, in games like this, you have to sort of see the nuance for what it is.
Right. It's like, and she doesn't actually get raped if she fails. She gets shot. It's like, yeah, but come on now. She doesn't have to get raped. It's just, even if she does fail, it's already happened by the time it fails. The trigger has already taken place, right?
Oh, yeah, way before that. Way before the end result of any of that.
If you're trying to argue that in that scene in Tomb Raider, that if you don't think they're really suggesting rape, that is a joke.
Right.
That is a joke. Come on, it's obvious to anybody who watches that that's what they're suggesting. And you are 100% right, they don't show it. But that doesn't mean
I think, you know what, I think that's a really, I think maybe not, I mean, and I don't know by any means, but I'm thinking at the same time that maybe not everyone does get that, because clearly this guy didn't get it until someone else had brought it up. But I think, and we've said it multiple times before, specifically talking about the same topic, that it's because of the lack of a female voice in the room when these ideas are coming up. Because, I mean, how many men in the world have been raped? I know there is a number, but it's not nearly as many as females, and it's not nearly as many unreported females, especially.
And the culture is very different.
Well, yeah, and I've got to throw this in, because there was, interestingly enough, there was an article written by a man about the triggering that happened with the Tomb Raider clip. Because he had been raped as a child.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I mean, so this is triggers for lots of folks. It's not just triggers for women. I mean, and that's one of the interesting things that folks have got to consider, right? Is that, women are, stereotypically the ones that are raped in these scenarios, but there are men who are assaulted too, right? I mean, and these are triggers for them. And I thought that was really fantastic that this person had the kind of the guts to jump up and say, hey, look, I understand, this affects women, and let me talk about, and we've seen other people talk about this, but let me talk about how this affects me so you really understand the depth of it, right? I mean, I guess that was kind of the way that he hoped to kind of strike closer to home with male developers, right?
Yeah. That's a good point, because they display these scenes, and I think despite the statistics of the fact that more women get whatever sexually assaulted than men, it's a stereotypical image that they keep trying to use, and the stereotypical image isn't the one that happens to most men. And so, like, you see these triggers happening that happen for all of these people that they aren't necessarily trying to evoke emotion from, except maybe positive emotion. And all of a sudden, this huge, ridiculous number of people are triggered. Because if you look at the number of people who've been even abused as a kid, right? Like, you're going to get pretty high numbers. So if you show situations like this, you're going to evoke a lot of emotion, even if it's not okay for some people to express it. Which is why it's cool that this dude spoke out.
Yeah, definitely.
And see, not only is Juliet like the kick-ass zombie killer, but she can also do black magic and cut Nick's head off and have his head live. So that she could wear it around her waist for the rest of the game.
I know, God, she would be. If in any other game portrayed any other way, I would probably just be obsessed with her character, because it would probably be pretty awesome. With some clothes on as well. Some clothes on.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, too. Like, I always feel so torn, because I want a woman character who isn't afraid to embrace her femininity, right? Like, I don't have a problem with that. I think that's cool, as I'm sure lots of women don't. But it's so objectifying when they do it. Like, you can embrace your femininity or not, or whatever, without being so objectied. I mean, really.
Yeah, and catch them with your ass. Catch them with
really,
your ass.
Like, yeah. That's what pisses me off. So much potential to do something cool.
I know. And the thing is, too, is, like, yeah, I think another thing, like you were saying, that you want there to be a female character who's okay with her femininity and wants to display it. And I've been thinking kind of this whole time, like, what if and not that I want a woman to go around and wearing a skimpy outfit, but I don't think it would be the same also if she were to wear, like, men's clothes. You know what I mean? Like, there's, like, a very fine line in which I think it would be appropriate, I guess, for a woman to still be able to show off her femininity, but not being like a like Juliet.
Right.
The whole second wave, third wave feminism argument. Like, no, you have to dress conservatively or you'll be objectified, versus no, I want to wear as skimpy a clothes as possible because who are you to tell me I can? Right?
Right.
This is one of the big arguments in feminism. I don't think it's been solved. Sam, you would know.
Yeah.
You're smarter than me.
Yes, it's been solved all right. Not.
Right, exactly.
I mean, because you've got different women from different camps who think about these things differently. I mean, but yeah, I mean, and I am of the same mind as you two. I'm totally in favor of a character who is able to be feminine and still kick ass. That, that's good. I mean, if it's done in a non-sexist, non-exploitive way.
Well, like, your daughter likes things that are stereotypically female, and also likes things that are stereotypically very much not female, and she likes what she likes, right? And there's some cultural influence, but there's a lot of influence from you as well. And so you sort of get this, yeah, I'll wear pink. F you. Yeah, I will have a plastic kitchen. But I also like trains, and I like all this other stuff, and I'm a complex human being, right?
And Buzz Lightyear.
And Buzz Lightyear.
Spider-Man.
Right, exactly.
And Spider-Man.
Yeah, pink tutu with a Spider-Man shirt. You know, cool. You know, so you get these. So then I think that's what women are more often these days, is they're super complex, as everybody, as all humans are. And it's the exploitativeness, like you were saying, Sam.
Yeah. That
becomes a problem.
And that's just for some reason what we can't get beyond, right? I mean, and it's kind of goes back to one of the questions that we had from a listener on our last episode where we did listener mail, is, how do we represent the other without being stereotypical? It's like, okay, we got a woman, and so we got to make her half naked, otherwise nobody's going to know she's a woman. We got to give her big boobs, or
and with her curves, I wouldn't be able to tell at all.
Exactly.
Well, and you're never going to make everybody happy, right?
I mean, like,
but you cannot be damaging.
Exactly. I mean, or even if we think about it, like we were at Gen Con this weekend, and remember we saw the Jade, the girl doing Jade cosplay. Jade is the perfect example of a female character who is feminine without being exploited, right? She wears like a little shorty t-shirt and form-fitted like chinos, and a jacket, because she's like a reporter. The little, showing the belly thing is a little over the top for me, but I mean, still, she's not problematic in her dress for me, right?
I remember the exact person you're talking about, and I saw her and I was like, yeah, I love it, own it.
Go you.
That's great. Let's get a picture. Whereas there was some costume, the Ivy costume.
Yes, the Poison Ivy costume.
It was awesome. Let me just state, it was an amazing costume.
It was.
The most detailed leaves for like the leotard part, but so much of her was hanging out that like it was in that. You know what? And good for her, whatever she wants to do. But it was like uncomfortable to even like glance at her because she had so much of herself like hanging out.
I was like, it would have been much nicer if I didn't see 3/4 of her ass.
Yeah, okay. So it was like a G-string type. There was like a leaf there.
Yeah,
that was good. But like
really?
and like I said, whatever. She probably felt great and felt comfortable and felt confident, and that's fine. But
it was too much.
It was too much. It was too much for a number of reasons. In the same reasons that we've talked about with the reasons that cosplay done in a certain way and booth babes are problematic for the industry as a whole, and because there's Gen Con and there's kids there.
That's right.
Oh yeah, there's lots of kids there. I mean, I was shocked at C2E2 how many children were there.
There's only a few booth babes. I think I saw 3 or 4, and all of them except one I thought was completely appropriately dressed. Like like the polo shirt of the company and jeans. Yeah. And there was one booth babe that I saw that not appropriately dressed, in my opinion. There were plenty of inappropriately dressed people there, men and women, but only one booth babe.
I think that's the most problematic thing for me with cosplay. I would love to do it if I could. Like, if I could make the costumes, that'd be great. And I would love to cosplay, but I think there's so much attention surrounded around the women doing cosplay that is like the sexy Disney princesses.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you're taking like these I mean, not without controversy, women, but to turn them into something like that, it's just like, it's unnecessary, and the only reason they're doing it is to get attention to their bodies for it. There's really no other reason for it.
Right.
And that's sort of like what you struggle with when you see them, because you want to be like, dude, no. But at the same time, maybe they are like making a statement. I don't know. You know, it's just a tough situation to be around and to see. I don't know.
And that's why it's just so, I just wish that I could have clothed Juliet the entire time I played this game.
Exactly. Like, you want to be like, yeah, cool, but also we don't live in a world that's decontextualized and dehistoricized where, you know, it's just a blank slate for you to do what you want and for everyone to do what they want, you know? Okay. We live in a very contextualized world, and that makes things like Juliet super problematic.
Well, you bring up history. So I gotta do this. I gotta say something about this. One of the things that I thought was really interesting is that, you know, this is supposed to be a contemporary game, contemporary to our current times, right? Why the hell is everybody dressed like they're living in the 1950s? Well, except for Juliet, who's naked.
It's a very good point. You're right. It's all 1950s.
I mean, they're dressed like they're in the 1950s. The schools look very much like the 1950s, but it's supposed to be kind of contemporary.
Cool. Hmm?
You know what? I didn't even notice that until you said that, because her sisters seem very 80s to me.
But, like, when have you seen a dude in, like, a Letterman's jacket, you know?
And a tie.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Exactly. And her dad is kind of like that, too. But then her older sister is very, like, Madonna 1980s for me.
Yeah, that's true.
And I have to say, because we just saw this in the clip, is that I find it real problematic that she has to use Nick to do the heavy work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why can't she do certain things herself, right? So she has to use Nick and put his, like, dead head on blue zombies in order to lift things that are too heavy, or, you know, up until this point, she has been kind of the character who can do all of these things for herself, right? But then when, you know, it's like, oh, well, let me prove that I need my man, even if he's dead and has no body.
Yeah.
What? No, that makes no fucking sense. You want to do something, let his headless ass get out and fight some fucking zombies.
Yeah. I mean, she's been doing totally fine up until this point.
Right. Why does it get a
no answer
stuff?
For that? You're right.
And I find that problematic.
Man, I did not think of that while I was playing it. I was like, ooh, mini game.
I hated the mini games.
I know a lot of people had problems with the baseball one.
The baseball one, the baseball one people had problems with. The basketball one, the first time I played through, like, almost killed me. Because you have that the timed one. It took me so long
to figure out that one was blocking them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, why aren't the heads going in?
It's not very intuitive.
Oh, no, not at all.
At all. And I think that's the problem.
None of the mini games are.
Yeah, I think I was going to say that. I think that's the problem with all the mini games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just watching this, and it's killing me that, like, the American Dental Association must be, like, turning over in their graves that she's just, like, downing these fucking lollipops in order to...
Oh, not lollipops.
Not the lollipops.
I love that
she won't eat too many.
That.
She doesn't want to get fat, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But she eats nothing but that bite of toast she had that morning before she had this massive workout.
Do you know how many calories are in a bite of toast, Sam? Like 4.
I was gonna say, isn't it one of those things that has like almost negative calories, depending on the bread?
I'm
sure.
All the you have celery and grapefruit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
But it kept her going through a day full of zombie killing.
That's right.
That
and lollipop
and lollipops. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know that this game has any redeeming qualities.
No, I cannot think of a single thing.
That might be interesting to implore our readers to, or listeners to send us in comments about this, that maybe reasons they thought it was worth it to pursue the game. Maybe somebody else did.
I'd be very interested to hear what other people have to say, because I don't know if it's kind of like the conversation that we've continued to have about it that maybe like continued to taint my view of the game, or if it really was just I sat there and I was like, really?
Yeah, no, my view of the game never changed.
No, it didn't.
It didn't.
And I tried so hard to get it to.
I think if I could have clothed her, I would have felt a little bit better.
Like, been a little more at ease. Did you play through the whole thing?
The whole game?
Yeah.
No.
You didn't? Okay.
No, I couldn't. I quit.
I was going to say, that takes a lot of personal willpower.
That was, I spent $20 on the game because I had a coupon for GameStop plus my discount. And so when I picked it up, I only paid $20 for it. I wanted to be sure that I played the whole thing before I traded it back in. And somehow, with the kinks of GameStop and working there, I ended up making a profit off of it. So that was its redeeming quality for me.
Oh, nice.
So you exploited somebody else's system to make a profit. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. I would like that too. Holy crap.
Yeah, I made $3 off the game. Oh, yeah.
Must be nice.
That's good.
Yep. So there's the redeeming quality for me, right there.
Yep. I'm still waiting for mine.
Oh gosh, that's funny.
Well, on that note, ladies.
That was a good video playthrough, everyone.
It has been. I'm anxious for the next one. So, until next time, folks, thanks for tuning in. Check out Lollipop Chainsaw if you're so inclined.
But really don't.
Or don't. Or at least check out a demo somewhere. How's that?
Yeah.
Let us, and if you've played it, let us know what you think. We're anxious to hear it. Until next time, we take care, kill some zombies, and as always, game on.
Game on.